Thanks for joining us here on the Bearcat Sports Network. It's time to preview the 2017 McKendree University football team, and we are joined today by offensive coordinator Matt Rahl. This is part one of our three-part preview. We'll focus on the offensive unit today. And Coach, this has been a high-powered attack the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, mostly through the air. Last year was more of a mix, especially on the ground. The Bearcats finishing second in the conference on the ground. And talk about this unit as you've seen them evolve through preseason camp.
Yeah, I think one of the big differences this year, is we have a lot of experience coming back, in all facets, up front, in the backfield, out of the receiving core. We have a lot of guys that have played a lot of significant downs for us that are returning. And so, right now I've been very pleased with where we're at going, through fall camp, and it gives us a little bit more balance than maybe what we've even had in past years.
Coach, let's look at the quarterback position. That was a place where four different starters saw action last year in 2016. A couple of guys that called the signals last year. Beginning of the season was Brendan Fred before he went down to a season-ending injury. And then the last three games of the season, you have Reese Metcalf step in. Both of those guys at the top of the depth chart this year. Talk about what you've seen out of them in this preseason camp.
Yeah, I think they've both done a really nice job. They challenge each other. They compete well with each other and against each other. They do a tremendous job of making sure that they both have, great understanding, and not only on the field of what's going on, but in the meeting room. And it brings great competition. They make each other better. They both have had a really good camp up to this point in time.
In the backfield, Cheyenne Edwards did the bulk of the work last year, 771 yards on the ground. That was a career high, set a school record with 212 rushing attempts. He had, as we said, most of the work, but you had guys behind him like Miles Hammonds, like Preston Thompson, who also saw some significant action. And talk about the depth there at running back.
Yeah, we do have some depth there. Three guys that have seen a lot of experience. Cheyenne has had a really good camp, solid, just as you would expect from a guy that's played as many downs as he has over the past couple of years. Preston's really had a solid camp as well. He's really competing nicely in that job. Miles has had a few bumps and bruises throughout fall camp, but again, Miles has been a guy throughout his career here that has played a lot of significant downs and has done a really solid job for us. And so, we're expecting to be able to use all three, kind of keep them all on a steady rotation. Hopefully that enables them to stay healthier and those type of things throughout the course of the year. As typical at the running back position, they take a lot of shots on their bodies, so be able to keep them a little bit more fresh.
Didn't mean to separate the wideouts there, as we probably should have talked about them right after the quarterbacks, but you've got some guys with a lot of experience returning, guys like Darius Crockwell, Dustin Walls, who's had to battle injury the last couple of years. Jalen Williams really came on at the end of the year. Matt Cole showed flashes of what he could do. Talk about the depth you have at wide receiver.
Yeah, all those guys that you just mentioned are all doing a really good job, and Dustin's had a really good camp. Darius has had a really good camp. Then we also, we have Matt Cole, who came on really towards the end of the year last year as a true freshman having to play. We've moved Derek Curry over in the spring from defensive back, who is really a very dynamic player with the ball in his hands on the punt return and kick return game that's done a really nice job as a wide receiver now for us throughout spring ball and fall camp. We've had some guys, Josh Revay's a transfer, junior college transfer, that's really done a nice job. So we have some depth there. Elsie Burks moved out there. Those are just some names, and there's a few more that really they provide a lot of depth. That position group right now is playing at a pretty high level in camp. They are competing at a very high level, and that's my big thing. You keep hearing me talk about competing. That's every day. I just want to see those guys come out to compete, to get better, compete with the details of what we're doing, and just keep working.
When you guys utilize a tight end, you have one of the best in the conference, and Skylar Paulson, not only just in the blocking aspect, he made some big catches last year, including a game winner in the back of the end zone against St. Joseph's, the homecoming game. And every time Skylar's number called, it seemed like he produced well for the Bearcats.
Yeah, Skylar's done a tremendous job, and he's a guy that maybe we don't use as enough or have used enough in the past, but I think his role will increase throughout the season. He's a guy that we always joke around with him that probably per attempt. Catches per touchdown ratio is probably the highest in the country. He has tremendous hands. He brings another aspect to our offense that the teams have to prepare for, have to be ready for. But he also does a really nice job in the blocking game. He's a body that we can attach to the line of scrimmage, create an extra gap, and do those type of things. And he does a very good job with that as well. He's another guy that I feel really good about with where he's been at in fall camp.
unit that you work with a lot, the offensive line up front. The Bearcats lose a little bit of experience with the graduation of center Clint Rotterman. Through some other attrition, the Bearcats have a couple of returning starters back, but you're going to have to lean on guys like Jake King and Cole Foster a little bit to lead that unit. Talk about those guys along with some of the newcomers we'll see in 2017.
Yeah, I've been really pleased with this group. I think the leadership, Cole Foster and Jake King, they've been with me from the time I got here. They're part of that first class. Same thing with Joe Lasky, Marcel Harrell. Those guys have been through everything with me the last 4 years, and their leadership has really become noticeable this year. They just come to work every day. It's become a very blue-collar, lunch-pail type of group. They've done a tremendous job with that. And then, we talk about having to replace a guy like Clint. Clint played a ton of football games around here. Jake Stevenson, who's been a freshman, has done a tremendous job with that. He's gotten the bulk of the snaps at center, and he's really done a nice job with that. I'm excited about where he's at. Quentin Pulaski's another guy that had played as a true freshman last year, actually started 3 games for me as a true freshman last year, and has had just a tremendous offseason, a great spring. He's having a really good fall camp. We've got some young guys, Jordan Taylor, that's had a really good fall camp at tackle. We have Austin Holes has done really well there. So there's some depth there. Yeah, we do have some experience to replace, but overall, pretty pleased with that group. Really pleased with the work ethic that they've brought in, the kind of the toughness and that mentality that they've brought to the table. And we'll kind of, I guess, see here in another week or so exactly where we're at up front.
Coach, I know as a whole, as offensive unit, you're a pedal to the metal kind of guy. You like to see this team not only score in bunches, but get plays off and do a lot of positive things. Talk about your expectations for the offensive unit in 2017.
My thing is I want to see us compete at a high level, and I talk to the guys all the time. My mentality is don't watch the scoreboard. The scoreboard doesn't matter. We want to play at the same pace and with the same mentality with whether we're up by 60, down by 60, it doesn't matter. We go out and compete. And that's what I'm looking for. These guys is compete, have great attention to detail, do all the little things right, and we preach that over and over and over. And obviously we don't want to be down by 60, but the nice thing is the way we practice, the way we do things, the way our offense is built, is that if you do somehow get into a deficit, you can score points in a hurry in this system, and we'd like to score them in a hurry and get ahead fast, and then keep the pedal down. But I've been really pleased with this group right now. I think that their attitude, their work ethic, the way that they are competing has been very positive, and I'm looking forward to getting on the bus with this group and seeing what we have.
Season's a week away, Coach. Good luck this season.
I appreciate it.
That was offensive coordinator Matt Rahl joining us for part 1 of our 3-part season preview of the McKendree University 2017 football program. We'll talk defense with defensive coordinator Joe Patasso. We'll also talk special teams and get a general outlook from head coach Mike Babcock in our 3rd and final portion of our preview. Don't forget, you can follow McKendree football online at www.mckbearcats.com.